Hello and welcome to Business 360. I'm Shireen Bhan. The headlines that we're tracking for you this evening. Birla and Adani battle for cement supremacy. Birla's Ultratech acquires a 23% stake in India Cements for nearly 1,900 crore rupees. The move comes just a week after Adani's Ambuja Cements acquired Penna Cement. The record run continues on Dalal Street. The Nifty crosses the 24,000 mark for the first time. The Sensex goes past 79,000. Both indices are up 7% at the end of the June F&O series, the best monthly performance so far this year. Come tomorrow, Indian bonds will mark their entry in the JPMorgan Emerging Market Bond Index. Indian government securities have seen inflows worth $8 billion so far this year. Analysts expect 25 billion inflows after the JPMorgan index inclusion. Relief for Samir Modi in his boardroom battle with mother Beena Modi. A Delhi court restrains Beena Modi and the Godfrey Phillips board from removing him from the boards of KK Modi Group companies. Says it will prima facie cause irreparable harm. Also bars them from shutting down retail chain 24/7. President Draupadi Murmu calls the emergency of 1975 the darkest chapter. In a joint address to both houses of parliament, sparks protests from the Congress MPs. President also promises action over PaperLeaks and a fair probe into the NEET irregularities. Kenya braces for more protests even after the country's president made a dramatic U-turn and withdrew the contentious tax hikes. 23 people have been killed so far in the violent protests that have seen parliament being stormed briefly. The president of Bolivia appeared to have survived a coup attempt after urging citizens to take to the streets. A top army general who led the coup has been arrested after he failed to topple the left-wing government. US President Joe Biden will square off against his Republican challenger Donald Trump in the first presidential debate. CNN will host the debate in Atlanta, which begins at 6:30 a.m. India time tomorrow morning. All of that and more coming up for you. But the top story this evening, it is a battle for supremacy in the cement space. Weeks after Adani's Ambuja Cements acquired Penna Cement, Birla's Ultratech has acquired 23% stake in India Cements for nearly 1,900 crore rupees. Now, Ultratech is the leader in the cement sector, commanding a market share of 28%. Its market share in South India stands at 11% and is expected to grow further with a significant India Cement stake in its kitty. Prashant is standing by with more on the story that he broke this morning. Prashant, decode the India Cements deal for our viewers. What's in it for Ultratech?
You know, it's a big deal, and this happened this morning in the cement space. We at CNBC-TV18 were the first to report that Ultratech has bought over 20% stake in India Cements via the block deal, which happened in the block deal window between 8:45 and 9 o'clock. Now, Ultratech in a statement has confirmed this and more. Let me actually get you the details of what this actually all means. So cement major Ultratech, the largest cement company in the country with about a 25% overall market share, is buying into South India-based India Cements. Ultratech has put just under 1,900 crore rupees to work to pick up 23% equity stake in India Cements. Remember, there are two large shareholders. One is the Radhakrishnan Damani and a sort of family, which owns a little over 20%. And then there is, of course, the promoters who own around 28% in the company. Now, this works out, just under 1,900 crore investment works out to 267 rupees per share, which is slightly higher than what the stock closed at yesterday. Remember, yesterday we had a 15% rally in the India Cement stock. So the deal this morning happened at a slightly higher price as opposed to the last closing price. Some more details in terms of the companies themselves. Now, India Cements has an overall cement capacity of 14.45 million tons per annum, and it is majorly present in the South India markets. What about valuations of the deal? So, at 267 rupees per share, Ultratech equity investment is valued at $85 per ton on an enterprise value per ton basis. This indeed is lower than what it would cost if you were to actually go ahead and put a new cement plant. That's essentially lower than the replacement cost. Now, provided that this 23% stake in India Cements is just a stepping stone into future further consolidation of Ultratech's holding in India Cements, what does this do to Ultratech's own capacity? Now, currently, Ultratech has a capacity of 20.5 million tons capacity in southern India. This is, of course, excluding Kesoram Industries and the capacity there. With investments in India Cement and Kesoram combined, Ultratech will more than double its capacity in South India to 45 million tons per annum. In terms of market share, this would translate a 22% regional market share for Ultratech as compared to the 10% before these transactions. Remember that the two top players, essentially Ambuja and Ultratech, between them in the southern markets are expected to control 35% of the total capacity there. Now, just to look ahead, India Cements, apart from the cement capacity which I already outlined, also has large land bank reserves, which indicates optionality, right? Growth optionality if they want to do expansion, etc. India Cements, by the way, also has renewable energy and shipping assets in South India, all of which a player like Ultratech can put to good use. So there you have it. Ultratech, the largest cement player in the country, adding another important asset to its kitty and really moving towards its stated goal of reaching a long-term capacity goal of 200 million tons per annum. Back to you.
All right, Prashant, many thanks. And as Prashant was mentioning, buying into India Cements gives Ultratech more presence in South India. The race between Birla and Adani is only heating up. Here's a closer look at Kumaramanglam Birla. He's currently overseeing an annual cement capacity of close to 153 million tons. Cement capacity of Gautam Adani's cement companies currently stands at 89 million tons per year. Birla's cement portfolio includes the crown jewel Ultratech, Kesoram Cement, and now India Cements. Adani's portfolio includes Ambuja, ACC Sanghi Cements and his most recent acquisition, Penna Cement. Kumaramanglam Birla is aiming for a cement production target of 200 million tons per annum by 2028. Gautam Adani, meanwhile, has set a target of 140 million tons. Analysts believe consolidation in the cement sector will only gain more momentum. Take a look.
Over the last 10 years back, the top 5 cement players in India used to be about 40% market share. As we speak today, it's moved about 55 to 60%, somewhere between that, the top 5 guys. And consolidation has played a very important role. And I think the way forward over the next couple of years will be more consolidation definitely on the cards. However, as we speak at the ground level, the near-term benefits of consolidation have not been seen.
This is just phase 1, the strategic acquisition of 20%, 23%, and I believe this should be followed by the promoter stakes coming through. If that is, that would be the thought process in my view for Ultratech. The operating assets are not great because these are very old assets, almost 30 year plus. Most of the plants are 30-year-old plus and extremely inefficient. They would require a lot of cash infusion to bring them into meaningful, margin.
Right, so as you can see, expect more M&A activity in the cement sector. What next, and who are the other potential candidates for acquisitions? Hormuz is joining us now with the details. Hormuz, who should we keep a track of?
Every time a deal like this takes place in any sector for that matter, almost every other stock starts buzzing on the street saying this might become a potential acquisition target going forward. So we've tried to find out at least 4 of them that might be, and most of them are south-based cement companies. We have spoken to analysts also who mentioned that they might be the targets because they are under considerable financial stress. So Sagar Cements is one of them, and incidentally, Sagar Cements is one where they acquired Andhra Cements sometime last year. So that has a capacity of 10.5 MTPA, a clinker capacity of 6.5. It has plants in Telangana, Madhya Pradesh. It has 3 units in Andhra Pradesh as well and in Odisha. It's been an underperformer over the last 12 months, just 16%, trades at an FY25 EV to EBITDA of 9.2 times. The other one is NCL Industries, and that has 2 units in Telangana and Andhra Pradesh, capacity of around 3 MTPA, it's around 24% higher in the last 12 months, trading at an FY25 EV to EBITDA of 6.2 times. KCP is the other one, and that was in focus all through the month of June because of the frenzy that we saw in all the Andhra Pradesh linked companies. Most of its plants are in the state of Andhra Pradesh, 4.3 MTPA capacity. The stock has doubled, even more in the last 12 months, most of which have come in the month of June. June and trading at an FY25 EV to EBITDA of almost 9 times. And lastly, Orient Cement. We've spoken to the management multiple times and they have kept denying the fact that the company is not on the block. But 8.5 MTPA capacity there, clinker capacity of 5.5, presence in 11 states. That stock has also doubled in the last 12 months and an FY25 EV to EBITDA of 9 times. So multiple potential acquisition targets. We are yet to know what happens to India Cements now, but these are some that you should keep on your radar. Back to you.
Yes, we certainly will. Hormuz, many thanks for joining us. Well, speaking about action, let's talk about the markets. The record run continues on the Lal Street. The Sensex and the Nifty hitting fresh lifetime highs in trade. The Nifty gained over 170 points, crossing the 24,000 mark for the first time. The Sensex was up 568, above 79,000, 79,243. Nifty Bank taking a bit of a breather today, closing in the red, just flat. The Nifty Mid-Cap Index closing about 180 points higher. So new records being formed in our markets as well. Mangalam standing by now to wrap up the market action for us. Mangalam.
Well, it was a record-breaking day for the markets. It was a day that mirrored the series that was volatile but positive. So we saw a big move. The Nifty conquered the 24,000 mark. The Nifty Bank conquered the 53,000 mark intraday as well. And we end the series, the June series, with almost 1,600 points in gains. The mid-cap index, however, underperformed. So the advanced decline was more in favor of the stocks that declined. So that was the broader market trend for you. In terms of news and some moves, it was cement, which was the sector of the day. Of course, the big deal coming out. So India Cements was the top gainer out there. The top Nifty gainer was Ultratech, which bought 20% stake in India Cements. And as a result of which we saw gains on Grasim as well. A rub-off on that was felt on some other names like JK Cement, Kesoram and JK Lakshmi Cement too. But while the top news was cement, the top contributor was the IT space. So Infosys, TCS, LTI, Mindtree, Wipro were the top gainers, and Reliance showed another day of strength. In losers, there were far and few in between. For the frontline end, we had L&T, Bajaj Auto and Shriram Finance, which ended lower. But a lot of gainers in the mid-cap end of things as well. Whirlpool, Eureka Forbes, Siemens, ABB, Oracle and Dixon. And now with the Lok Sabha elections done in June series, it's over to the event-heavy July series, where we will have the budget and the first quarter results.
Mangalam, many thanks. Speaking about battles, it's a relief for Samir Modi in his boardroom battle with mother Beena Modi. A Delhi court has restrained Beena Modi and the Godfrey Phillips board from removing Samir Modi from the boards of the KK Modi Group companies. The court has also barred them from shutting down retail chain 24/7. Ashmit is standing by now to take us through the latest court battle in the KK Modi family feud. Ashmit, relief coming in there from Samir Modi. Take us through what the court had to say.
Well, there has been trouble brewing within the promoter family as well as the boardrooms of KK Modi Group companies and the likes of Godfrey Phillips. Now, what's important is that on May 30th, Samir Modi had attempted to get himself involved, be party to the boardroom proceedings. And there, Samir Modi has alleged that he was roughed up by the PSO of his mother, Beena Modi, that the other boardroom members were participants. They were watching. They did not intervene, makes them participants. To that end, Samir Modi has also filed an FIR. He's also moved the court for monitoring that investigation. The court has directed for CCTV footage to be secured. But independent of these proceedings, Samir Modi moved another application before the Delhi court. And in this application, he points out that this dispute that occurred, this incident that occurred on May 30th, is indicative of a larger dispute brewing within the family, and that he anticipates two major concerns. He brought to the light court's attention two major concerns. The first is that he anticipates that on account of this dispute, he's likely to be thrown out of the board of various KK Group companies, including Godfrey Phillips. That's one. The second is that he has invested considerable energy, time and money behind growing the retail division of the company, the Godfrey Phillips, which is 24/7. That 24/7 is growing, is sprouting up across various cities. That is the second concern that he highlighted, that he anticipates that Godfrey Phillips will actively try to run the retail division into the ground by refusing to pay the vendors, the salaries, even the electricity dues. Now, it is in response to this that the Delhi court today has passed ex parte orders granting relief to Samir Modi. Ex parte orders have been passed restraining Beena Modi as well as the board of directors as well as the group companies, that number one, Samir Modi cannot be tossed out of the board. That simply cannot happen. The other key relief that has come his way is that this business, or the retail division of 24/7, cannot be discontinued, cannot be shut down, cannot be run into the ground. What's also important is that Samir Modi has extended an olive branch, saying that he hopes that this dispute between the family members can be settled via talks, can be settled via mediation. That is something that the Delhi court has taken on record, but importantly has deferred the hearing in this matter to the next month of July. Again, important to point out, these are ex parte orders. So Beena Modi, the board of directors, the company members were not heard today in these proceedings. So that is something we'll need to watch out for. But for now, certain relief coming in for Samir Modi, cannot be thrown out of the board, and 24/7 the business has to be continued by Godfrey Phillips.
Okay, Ashmit, many thanks for joining us. Now, shares of Dr. Reddy's Labs gained after its Swiss subsidiary signed an agreement with British healthcare major Haleon to acquire its nicotine replacement therapy portfolio. The portfolio will be acquired for 5,000 crore rupees and it will include Nicotinell. Remember, Nicotinell is started to be the second largest brand in nicotine replacement therapy globally. The deal is expected to be completed by the fourth quarter of calendar year 2024. Infosys CEO Salil Parekh has paid 25 lakh rupees to the market regulator Sebi for failing to have adequate controls to prevent insider trading. The case relates to a 2020 partnership between Infosys and Vanguard when Parekh was the CEO and MD of the IT major. He continues to be so. Sebi has said its investigation revealed that certain information, which was unpublished price-sensitive information, had not been considered as such by Infosys. The Ministry of Corporate Affairs has clarified that reports suggesting that a clean chit has been granted to Byju's are inaccurate and misleading. In a statement, the ministry says that the probe into allegations of financial misconduct are ongoing. It's also cautioned against drawing premature conclusions. Earlier, reports claimed that the MCS probe had revealed no evidence of fund siphoning or financial manipulation. A guard of honor awaited President Murmu in Parliament lawns today, followed by drum rolls, and then a senior marshal with a Sengol escorted her inside the Parliament building for the first presidential address since Prime Minister Modi-led NDA formed the government for the third time. In her 1 hour, 10-minute address, the president highlighted the achievements of the previous government, called the Lok Sabha polls an election of trust in policy, intention, dedication and decision. She said the upcoming budget will be futuristic and will facilitate fast-track reforms. Murmu also addressed the recent irregularities seen in various competitive exams. She said the government will investigate the PaperLeaks. She also mentioned that the government was continuously working for lasting peace in the northeast. However, there was no mention of the Manipur ethnic clashes. President Murmu has called the emergency of 1975 as the biggest and darkest chapter and direct attack on the constitution.
ये बजट सरकार की दूरगामी नीतियों और फ्यूचरिस्टिक विजन का एक प्रभावी दस्तावेज होगा। इस बजट में बड़े आर्थिक और सामाजिक निर्णयों के साथ ही अनेक ऐतिहासिक कदम भी देखने को मिलेंगे। भारत के तेज विकास की जन आकांक्षाओं का पूरा करने के लिए रिफॉर्म्स की गति अब और तेज की जाएगी। हाल ही में कुछ परीक्षाओं में हुई पेपर लीक की घटनाओं की निष्पक्ष जांच और दोषियों को कड़ी से कड़ी सजा दिलवाने के लिए मेरी सरकार प्रतिबद्ध है। हमारे इससे पहले भी हमने देखा है कि कोई राज्यों में पेपर लीक की घटनाएं होती रही है। इस पर दलीय राजनीति से ऊपर उठकर देशव्यापी ठोस उपाय करने की जरूरत है। 25 जून 1975 को लागू हुआ आपातकाल संविधान पर सीधे हमले का सबसे बड़ा और काला अध्याय था। तो पूरे देश में हाहाकार मच गया था, लेकिन ऐसी असंवैधानिक ताकतों पर देश ने विजय प्राप्त करके दिखाया, क्योंकि भारत के मूल में गणतंत्र की परंपराएं रही है।
राष्ट्रपति जी सरकारी भाषण दे दिए तो नॉर्मल है, सरकार के ही सारे मुद्दे वो लोग आगे बढ़ाने का कोशिश में होंगे, लेकिन इस समय 49 साल के बाद ये जो इमरजेंसी के बाद जिक्र किया, मेरे ख्याल में कोई लॉजिक नहीं था उस विषय पे। मणिपुर इस शब्द तो ना प्रधानमंत्री के मुंह से निकला ना राष्ट्रपति जी से। ये बड़ी जरूरी है कि इस किस्म के विषय चीन के सीमा से में क्या हो रहा है, बहुत बड़े विषय हमारे देश में है जो हम उठाना चाहते हैं हमारे देश में।
Well, that's the latest from Parliament. Now, the Supreme Court has issued a notice to the National Testing Agency over alleged irregularities in the evaluation of the NEET score. The Apex Court has sought a reply from the agency by the 8th of July, when it is scheduled to hear the matter again. Meanwhile, student unions continue to protest against the NTA in the national capital. Protesters' demands include the resignation of the Education Minister, scrapping of the NTA, and also reconducting the NEET exam. The Sebi board is meeting in Mumbai today. Sebi Chief Madhavi Puri Butch is expected to address the media later this evening. Yash is standing by with more on what is on Sebi's agenda and what we should expect. Yash.
Well, of course, Shireen, the Sebi board meets today, but what we've been told very recently is that, there is inputs coming in from market sources that market regulator could look at forming a committee which will essentially review the F&O market in the Indian context. What we've been given to understand is that this particular committee, which will be responsible to analyze, assess the Indian F&O market and review it from time to time, will be headed by a retired ED of the Reserve Bank of India. Also, this particular committee, what we've been told, will have 14 other members along with the retired RBI ED. This is, of course, a culmination of, things which we've observed over the previous 6 months, where starting from the Finance Minister of the country, Nirmala Sitharaman, to RBI Governor Shaktikanta Das, and of course, Sebi Chairperson Madhavi Puri Butch have been expressing concerns time and again on the increasing volumes, the increasing risk in the Indian F&O market. Of course, Sebi's that very popular report of 90% people participating in the F&O market and losing their money has become a benchmark to all those concerns. And this committee will aim to sort of safeguard retail investors out of those risks coming out of the Indian F&O market. What we've been given to understand, another responsibility which this committee will have will be to essentially ensure an orderly growth when it comes to the F&O market along with the cash market in India. So that will be something which will be, watched out very keenly going forward.
All right, Yash, appreciate you joining us, and do remember to tune in to CNBC-TV18 online and on TV to catch more on the Sebi press conference post its board meeting. We will head into a break, but up next, news will continue. Stay tuned. There's plenty more that we have for you. BJP and Congress MLAs protested in the Municipal Corporation of Delhi House over the water crisis in the national capital. They also raised slogans against Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. Meanwhile, BJP leader Ramesh Budhuri led a protest by party workers outside the Jal Board's office. In a related development, Delhi's Water Minister Atishi, whose health deteriorated due to a hunger strike, has been discharged from hospital. She was on strike after Haryana refused to release more water to Delhi. A new international airport is likely to come up just 40 kilometers away from Bengaluru. Tamil Nadu Chief Minister M.K. Stalin has announced a plan to build an airport on 2,000 acres of land in Hosur. Speaking at the State Assembly, Stalin said the airport will be designed to have a capacity of 3 crore passengers annually, adding that he wants to make Hosur an important economic zone as it has been attracting major investments in the electric vehicle space in the past few years. Hosur operates operations of major companies like Tata Electronics and TVS. Prime Minister Modi is all set to meet top bureaucrats to discuss the roadmap for the new term. Timsy is here with more. Timsy, what can we expect?
Well, that's right. Sources have told CNBC-TV18 that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is likely to meet all the central government secretaries of all the ministries and departments soon to discuss the roadmap for the new term. All the ministries and departments are likely to consider measures to push for simpler regulatory compliances. In the meeting, Prime Minister is likely to focus upon asking these government ministries and departments to mull upon measures to help boost consumption, consider agenda to push ease of living, and this could include tax relief measures, making medicines more affordable, considering that there's a new pricing law already in the works, making medical devices and implants more affordable, measures to expand the coverage of housing for all, both in rural and urban areas, ensuring more measures for redevelopment of slum areas, measures to ensure people have access to quality food and medicines, measures to combat adulteration, that is also one of the key area. Apart from that, measures to reduce cost of fertilizers, improve availability, measures to improve health infrastructure in rural and semi-urban areas, strengthening the cover of Ayushman Bharat, expansion of AIMS, also measures to reduce cost of registration and construction of houses, considering single window clearances, addressing employment issues, measures to increase women participation in workforce and women related issues. So all these are going to be one of the key areas on which Prime Minister is likely to focus in this meeting upon. Back to you.
All right, Timsy, many thanks. Now, the Reserve Bank has released its financial stability report. The report highlights that banks continue to post robust credit growth and are seeing an improvement in their asset quality. Ritu's here with more. Ritu, take us to what else the report says.
Well, Shireen, lots contained in that 180-page report, but I'm going to focus on the macro stress test, which is not to be seen as a projection, but rather an estimation of how well equipped the banking system is to withstand any kinds of shocks. The big takeaway from the report really is that no matter the severity of the stress, as per RBI's assessment, the system is well placed to wither these shocks in terms of capital requirement. And in the baseline scenario, you should actually see the asset quality of banks and even NBFCs improve in a 12-month period by March 2025. So RBI says that the return on assets and the return on equity for banks are at decadal highs. Gross NPA and net NPA ratios are at multi-year lows, and all of this has helped them maintain a very good strong capital buffer. In terms of asset quality, if you look at the macro stress test for all scheduled commercial banks, which is a sample size of 46, including public, private and foreign banks that RBI has taken into account, the gross NPAs are actually expected to fall from 2.8%, which was recorded in March 2024, to 2.5% in the baseline scenario. They may be maintained at 2.8% in a medium stress scenario and rise by about 600 basis points to 3.4% in the worst case scenario. Now, among the various categories of banks, public sector banks are expected to see the highest increase in their NPAs in the worst case scenario. 3.7% is the GNPA that public banks reported as of March 2024, which is expected to rise to 4.1% in the worst case scenario and improve to 3.3% in the baseline scenario. Similarly, for private banks, the 1.8% GNPA is expected to improve to 1.6% by March of next year in the baseline scenario, and in the worst case to 2.8%. If you look at the capital adequacy of all of these banks, again, RBI says that no matter the severity of the stress, they will still be able to maintain the minimum capital regulatory requirement, whether that is measured by CRAR or the Tier 1 capital equity ratio. The current level CRAR is at 16.7%. For the system as a whole, much above the minimum regulatory requirement, which is at about 9%. And even in a severe stress scenario, it may fall to 13% by next year, whereas the CET1 ratio, which is currently at 13.8%, in the worst case could fall to 10.8%, again, much above the 5.5% minimum regulatory requirement. Now, even for NBFCs, if you look at the picture, on the asset quality front, there is expected to be an improvement in the baseline scenario from 4% currently to 3.5%, but the capital adequacy may actually fall even in the baseline scenario, and as many as 8 NBFCs may not be able to maintain the minimum capital requirement. This is on the back of the measures that RBI has been announcing, but overall, RBI is confident that the banks are well equipped to support the growth of the economy.
All right, Ritu, many thanks for joining us. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of Business 360. But before we go, a quick note. A daily wrap of the top headlines will hit your inbox every day before you call it a night. CNBC-TV18's daily newsletter on LinkedIn features the top 10 stories on markets, corporate updates, economic insights, financial highlights, and more. So subscribe now, get the CNBC-TV18 edge. The news will continue after this short break.